Well, as most of you know, we just returned week before last from our trip to Guatemala. And one of the things we do when we are helping people get ready for the trip to Guatemala is we give them a packing list of all the things that they should bring on the mission trip. And we want them to pack light. And I pride myself on packing very light. I always am happy when I get back and I've worn everything. And I didn't bring back anything extra. And I said, perfect. This was just right. But we do not pack as light as Jesus told these that he sent out. You couldn't even take, not even a carry-on, not even a sack. You can't even carry a sack. No sacks. No sandals. Nothing. Just you. Think, wow, that's very light. So as I was thinking about it this week, I have never done that, and I don't think I can. Sorry, Jesus, I'm going to take at least a carry-on, with at least one change of clothing. We joke sometimes in Guatemala when it's wash day, because the kids are running around outside naked when you're driving by, because they only have their one set of clothes, and they're being washed. And so then they're just enjoying life in the yard. And I think, well, if you only have, Jesus, at least one change of clothing, I think, so you have something to wear when the other stuff is at the laundry or the family is doing your wash. So this week I've had a couple of conversations with priest friends of mine, like, why would Jesus do this? Why do you think it is? And would you ever do this? You know, what is the point? One fellow and I got into a discussion about the short story, The Bear. Did you have to read that in high school? William Faulkner's The Bear. And in The Bear, this kid, he's like 10 or 11, he goes off with his dad and uncles and everything, hunting on a regular basis. They live in the woods, and there's this story about this big bear that's there called Old Ben. And Isaac never sees Old Ben. He wants to see Old Ben so badly, but he never sees him. And then one day, he's talking with Sam, this old Indian guide, who he's trying to get ideas from on how to hunt. And old Sam says, well, Old Ben, the bear, has probably been watching you. You haven't seen Old Ben, but he sees you. And he won't let himself be seen because of something that is wrong with you. So what is it? What is wrong? So it takes Isaac a while to figure it out, but he says, it's the gun. And Sam says, yep, it's the gun. The only way Old Ben's going to let him be seen by you is if you are not armed. You have to leave the gun at home. And so he does. He goes out into the woods, and he's walking for a whole day, 9 hours. And then Old Ben just materializes in the woods and lets Isaac see him. And then again, he disappears into the woods. But the only way you could see him is if you put down your weapon. Now, Bishop Barron wrote a book years ago called And Now I See. And in that, he talks about God is the bear. And the only way we can encounter God is to put our weapons down. Because we have all these defenses. And we keep trying to find God. But as long as we're protecting ourselves, we're never, ever going to see. It isn't until we let go of all that and are able to encounter God, fragile, open, that God is visible to us. I think maybe one thought is that Jesus wanted his disciples to go out fragile, not protected, in need. And in doing so, they're much more aware of the presence of God. So that when they do proclaim God's word to another, they're close to God, one with God. So God can speak through them to the people that they're encountering. The other day I had this other reflection with my buddy, Father Bays. You know, he ran Boys Town for a long time, and so he's always into psychology and that kind of stuff. So he said it's the Franklin effect. And I don't know what the Franklin effect is. What is the Franklin effect? And he said, well, Benjamin Franklin had this opponent, this rival, who he didn't get along with. And they were always fighting with each other. And then one day, Franklin asked to borrow a book from this guy, and it was a rare book. And the guy let him have it. And that changed the relationship forever. They became friends because Benjamin Franklin asked for help from this guy. And apparently, Steve claims they've done studies on this, the Franklin effect, and that is when somebody asks you for help, it changes your attitude toward them, and you're more open to them because they are in need. And if you help them at all, which is our tendency as humans to help, then there's a bond there between the two because you've helped somebody. And you have a special place for them because you're helping them. So Steve's saying Jesus is sending out the disciples with the Franklin effect. They're in need. They don't have food, they don't have money, they don't have anything. And wherever they go, they got to ask for help, which creates an openness on the part of the person who's receiving the news. So it psychologically prepares them to hear the good news for the first time. So 2 theories as to why you should pack light. And why when you go before your neighbors and others to proclaim the good news, how you should go there, like Jesus suggests. I will say, if we go there thinking we know everything and we're the best, then the person's just going to, no, thank you. I don't want to hear anything. It is when we go as friends into another's home, into another's heart, that they can hear the Lord speak. If we're arrogant, if we think we know it all, we'll never get anywhere with anybody. And so we travel light to let the Lord in.